And we are live. We are live. I thought I was live a minute ago, but I was talking to myself. So, yeah, I got to start again. Yeah, this weekend. It's been a crazy week in boxing in general, right? This weekend, we have a great fight between Dennis Ugas and Errol Spence Jr., welterweight unification fight. That card has a great undercard, by the way. There's a couple of really good fights on that undercard. Razz Tayev versus Stanionis, Cody Crowley versus Josecito Lopez. That Errol Spence Jr. versus Dennis Ugas card is really good. Plus, you've got the return of Benn. He is fighting Chris Van Heerden on the zone. And yeah, this week's been crazy, man. Even before this weekend, we had the news of Andy Ruiz making his return to the ring in Mexico against Tyrone Spong. A bit of a bizarre fight, if you ask me. And we also had the news that the DEA are after Big Daniel Kinahan $5 million for any information leading to his arrest. If any of you guys have any information leading to Big Dan's arrest, then you know where to go. Tell them Del Boy sent you. Maybe I can get a cut. But yeah, it's been a crazy week in boxing. We've seen the rats scurrying around in boxing media. You know, IFL TV, those lot on Probellum, etc. Sam Jones, you know, various people in boxing scurrying around like little rats leaving a sinking ship, acting like they never knew Daniel Kinahan, like they never met him. And all of a sudden, my man is gone from existence. Daniel Kinahan doesn't exist to these people. You know, Kugan Cassius out here said fuck all. Sam Jones said fuck all. Sonny Edwards, nada. You know, nobody's singing right now. But that $5 million, who the fuck knows? Exactly, MMA. Yeah, you get $15 million if you snitch on all three Kinahans. Indeed, you do. Indeed, you do. These dudes are out. They're gunning for Big Daniel. They're gunning for him. Big up to MMA again, bro. Salute. Yeah, this weekend's good, man. Carlos Mendoza, Javier Martinez. Salute to you, Del Boy. Looking forward to another great informative stream. I'm not sure about informative, bro, but thank you very much. I'm very good, Jiho Park. I'm very tired. Have to admit, I'm very tired, but I can't complain. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I've got food and drink in the fridge. You know, I've got a roof over. I've got a roof over my head. I mean, life is okay. Life is okay. Yep, Andy Ruiz is fighting a bum who is a kickboxer indeed. Yeah, exactly, Soothsayer. Andy Ruiz, man, I think he's done, bro. I think he's done. I can't see. He never made the most of his momentum, Andy Ruiz, when he beat Joshua. He turned up in that rematch. I mean, look at the state of him in that rematch. Absolutely disgraceful. First heavyweight title defense, morbidly obese, slow as molasses, embarrassed himself. Then he comes back, goes with Eddie Reynoso, loses a bit of weight and struggles with Chris Aviola, and we've not seen him since. His career's been a disaster ever since he's lost those titles. It's been a disaster. So I think Andy's done. I don't think his heart's in it anymore. Whether it ever was, he was never dedicated. Let's be real. He was never dedicated. Just look at the guy. I mean, the guy has talent, but no dedication. Yeah, I wonder if somebody in MTK or Probellum will snitch. I wonder. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of fucking money. $5 million. You can get a lot with $5 million. I'll tell you. I would definitely snitch on him if I was part of the MTK. Facts. Gareth A. Davis wrote an article about how none of the people called on Fury's Zoom press conference asked about Daniel when he was also one of the journalists that didn't ask about Dan. I know, I saw that, bro, Jiho. It's incredible. Again, he's another rat. I mean, Gareth A. Davis. Look at this. I mean, look at the state of that dude. I mean, this guy, he's a so-called boxing journo, but he's basically He's a glorified fanboy, is what he is. He's a glorified cheerleader. That's what Gareth A. Davis is. He's a glorified cheerleader. I mean, if you're a journalist, yeah, and the only place you can work is boxing, that means you're a shit journo, because boxing is bottom of the barrel in terms of sports journalism. It's just that simple. I mean, there's a lot of those dudes, yeah, in boxing media. Most of these guys wouldn't get in a UFC press conference. Dana White would tell these guys to fuck off. I mean, it's incredible. Boxing is a gutter sport. Let's be real. Big up to Andre. Salute. Sonny was getting paid $5 million to beat on those bums. He could get paid $5 million for snitching on Daniel Kinahan. Tell you that. Yeah, exactly. You get $10 million for El Mencho, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, leader of CJNG. And let's be real, that cartel is far worse. Far, far, far worse. And that, yeah, they really want Daniel. They really want Daniel. $5 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, because El Mencho is the most wanted man in America and Mexico, I believe. And he's wanted for $10 million. So they really want Daniel Kinahan. They really want him. I think a lot of it is due to media pressure, to be honest. Like if El Mencho had the same sort of media pressure, his bounty would be like $50 million. But you know how these cartel guys operate. There's not as much pressure on those guys for whatever reason. Daniel paying $10 million to people not to snitch on him. Yeah, he's got fuck you money, Daniel Kinahan. He's got fuck you money. He could do that. He could probably do it. Yeah, Sam Jones would definitely snitch. I mean, just look at him. Exactly, bro. The guy's a weasel, Sam Jones. I mean, how did that guy get into boxing in the first place? Like, boxing's the only sport where you can infiltrate and really get involved and really become somebody, despite never having boxed, despite knowing fuck all about boxing. Boxing's one of those sports where you can get into it without knowing fuck all about it. And there's a lot of guys in boxing who are like that. You know, certain guys we see on TV, certain guys who work for promotional companies. I mean, I see these guys on the zone. Most of these guys know fuck all. Sweet FA. Like boxing, listen, man, the journos in boxing, the interviewers, etc., 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 they are bottom barrel, low tier, low rent, talentless, fucking dick suckers. That's what they are, because you have to sell your integrity to get anywhere in boxing and be in the media. Absolutely, you do. Absolutely, you do. And we see it this past week with the whole Daniel Kinahan situation. Look at all of these guys scurrying around like little rats, deleting their tweets about Daniel Kinahan, pretending they never knew him. That's the level of individual we have covering this sport. Guys like Kugan Cassius, etc., etc. Embarrassing. It's an embarrassing state of affairs. It really is. I've got no idea, Punch. I've got no idea, to be honest. Big up to Nordic Warrior. Salute every single time. I saw your video on Svenotke Nordic today. That video never came up in my sub feed. Never came up. And I only just realised you uploaded it today. So I watched it. Very good video. Very good video. Fucking hell, I've got hiccups. Jesus. Yeah, Andre, I agree. Errol Spence looks in very good shape. I mean, he was in good shape a few weeks ago. It was looking like he was close to weight. He looked very good. I think Errol's going to look good in this fight. I've got Errol Spence on points, sorry. I'm going to go Errol on points, but he's going to do it convincingly. Again, I meant to do a prediction video, but I've just not got round to it. My time right now is finite. It's finite. I have no time. Yeah, Gavin Gwynn versus Luke Willis. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm not going to watch it, to be honest. I CBA. Yeah, I think it's lightweight, the Sky Sports Boxer series. Yeah, it's either lightweight or light welterweight, one of the two. Daniel Kinahan's a very nice guy. He puts on fights at a loss purely out of the goodness of his heart. Exactly. Big up my main man. Hope all is well. What's your pick in the sweepstakes for the mega fight Benn will get this summer, according to Hearn? I'm thinking Leo Santa Cruz. For Conor Benn, Adrian Broner, I think. Adrian Broner, he fits the bill. He's not fought in God knows how long. He's on the wrong side of 30. He's shot to bits. That suits the agenda for Conor Benn. So I'm going to go Adrian Broner. I know he's talked about Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia. Those guys are too dangerous for Conor Benn. He's not going to fight those guys. He's going to fight Adrian Broner or somebody along those lines, in my opinion. Michael Sanchez, for journalists and media outlets for boxing push racist narratives all of the time. It's a disgrace. Yeah, all of these guys are compromised, bro. Whether it's by the likes of Daniel Kinahan, whether these guys suck dick, they'll suck dick for a check. They'll push like race narratives. They'll push political narratives. All of these guys are compromised. All of these guys are compromised. And even YTBC channels, I'll come out and say it because I'm sick of these fucking guys. Most of these guys are just absolute cancer, emotionally incontinent. You know, they'll let their emotions get in the way of judging a fighter and judging how a fight went down, etc. Most of these guys ain't worth shit. Let's be real. Let's just be real. Boxing's a toxic sport. It is what it is. And, you know, I see it for what it is now. I enjoy boxing for what it is. I like I like the guys I like. It is what it is. I still love boxing. I'll always love boxing. It's my go-to sport. Always will be. But the whole YTBC scene, YouTube boxing scene, whatever you want to call it, is done. It's done. If you want to come on here, yeah, and genuinely talk about boxing, you will not make it. Your time is gone. You could do that back in the day when the likes of Hatman first came up. You could do it then, but you can't do it now. You have to come with a certain narrative. That's the reality, I'm afraid. You know, you've got to be a character. You've got to push a certain narrative. You've got a fanboy for a certain promoter. That's what it is now. That's all it is. That's all it is. Like, most of these guys are not boxing fans. In my opinion, they're boxing fans second. Something else comes first. Whether it's just clickbaiting for views, whether it's pushing a certain narrative. That's how it is now. And I'm done with these people, man. I'm done with these people. I like who I like. There's channels I like Nordic, for example. But most of these channels ain't shit. Yeah, YouTube hiding your vids. I'm going on a rant, man. I'm going on a rant. I need to calm down. Ruiz versus Spong, exactly, bro. Embarrassing. It's in Mexico, so it'll be interesting to see how many fans Andy Ruiz can get in Mexico. It's in Mexico City, so we'll see. We'll see how big Andy Ruiz is in Mexico. Last week, Daniel Kinahan's right-hand man, Thomas Kavanagh, was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Yeah, I think the same, Andre. 8493, I agree. Isaac Cruz missed weight for his tune-up against Gamboa. I never really rated him, but would still be sad if his career packed up with a losing effort to Tank. Yeah, I think he's good. I think he's decent, Isaac Cruz. He can definitely get better. He can definitely get better. Mexicans don't want Santa Cruz. Anybody else can claim him. Yeah, Santa Cruz, man. When he came on the scene years ago, I was actually a fan of Leo Santa Cruz. I liked his high output style. He was always fun to watch. His fights with Frampton were great. But after the second Frampton fight, his career just nosedived. It went nowhere. It went absolutely nowhere. Never really kicked on. But yeah, I agree. Santa Cruz right now, I could care less what he does. He could retire tomorrow. I wouldn't care. You know, and it's a shame because he was a good fighter once upon a time. I actually felt he beat Carl Frampton in that first fight, by the way, Leo Santa Cruz. I felt he won that fight. And I'll say that now. I don't see how you can have Carl Frampton winning that first fight. I really don't. But yeah, he wasted his career, Leo Santa Cruz. Big up to yourself, boxing. The first boxing event I watched was the YouTube shows. Ever since then, I've become a hardcore casual. It's good, man. You got to start somewhere, bro. 1,000,000% on these journos, man. Games, yeah, journalism is awful, god awful. A friend of mine who is a tennis fan, and Jesus, he told me the questions that get put to the players. The lack of love is so obvious. Yep. Exactly. Most of these people are just, they are what they are. They are what they are. Conman Ben only fights for disabled. I heard he called out Stephen Hawkins yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing with Conor Benn, man. I get that he's had very little amateur background. I appreciate that. But when you have that much hype, there has to be an obligation to fight somebody with ambition. I'm not talking about fighting Errol Spence or fucking Terence Crawford, your Dennis Ugas, Ennis or Ortiz. Someone like Avanesian, even a Florian Marku, a Michael McKinson, I would be happy with those fights because at least I know those guys are coming to win. Can I say the same about Chris Van Heerden? A guy who's 30, what is he, 33, 34, had one round in like 2.5 years, not won a fight since 2019. Can I expect ambition from that guy? Probably not. Probably not, Homeless in America, big up to yourself. Spence will probably win on points with Ugas putting in a really lackluster performance. You could be right, bro. You could be right. Came over from disturbed reality. Big up to yourself, homeless. Big up to yourself. Yeah, Andy Ruiz fighting a guy whose most notable accomplishment in boxing was having his name mispronounced by Usyk. What a shame. Yep. Yeah, Andy Ruiz now his career is done, in my opinion. I think he's hanging on for one last big payday and he'll retire. That's what I think Andy's doing. Hopefully we'll get Conor Benn versus Chris Jenkins next. Chris would school him. I disagree. I think Chris Jenkins is done. I disagree. I think Chris is done. And I don't think Chris was ever that great, to be honest. Not that I think Conor Benn is like elite, but I think he'd get to Chris Jenkins. I think he'd get to him mid-rounds. In my opinion. Should have gave Frampton that trilogy fight. I get you because it was 1-1. But again, in reality, I felt Santa Cruz won both fights. I'll be honest. Like, apart from Frampton hurting Leo Santa Cruz, or not even hurting him, but semi-buzzing him in one round, like, Frampton got outworked in the majority. He got outworked in that fight. Oh, well, Carl Frampton landed the hardest shots, but yeah, cool. But he got so badly outworked in that fight. It is what it is. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he definitely ducked Gary Russell and Rigondeaux. Yeah, he did. Leo Santa Cruz. Yeah, it was a very good fight, Jared. It was a very good fight. I'm not going to sit here and call it an outright robbery, but it was one of those fights which I felt was close. But I just felt Leo Santa Cruz clearly won it. My opinion. I think Leo is chinny now. He could be, because that knockout he sustained against Tank was brutal. He could be now, yeah. It could have taken something out of him. Honestly, the only boxing channels I can watch are Ultratech, BWTM Sports, and you. A lot of shit channels floating around, yeah. By the way, check out Nordic Warrior. He's got a great channel. He was in the chat. I think he's still in the chat somewhere. Nordic's a great channel. I definitely recommend Nordic. Oh yeah, I don't watch those guys, McToilet. I don't watch those guys at all. I'm also talking about the YTBC in general. Like, everybody gets fixated on the YTBC. Like, people are obsessed with those dudes, but it's not just for YTBC. Most channels are fucking garbage. In my opinion, most are garbage. I prefer MMA, but boxing is okay. Muay Thai is dope. Yeah, Muay Thai is. Listen, I know fuck all about Muay Thai, but I trained it I trained it for a couple of months, and it is fucking hard. Muay Thai absolutely is harder than boxing. Absolutely. Not even close. Not even a debate. Muay Thai is. I've got so much respect for those dudes because they get paid fuck all for the most part. In comparison to boxing, those guys get paid fuck all. But Muay Thai is a brutal sport. Brutal sport. Big up to those guys, man. Serious warriors. Yeah, exactly. Jiho Park. Yeah, Chris could get chinned after racking in some good rounds against Benn like he did Marku. Plus, he's been stopped twice now, so his condition is in question at the moment. I agree. Yeah, and again, that PBC card. Listen, man, I know people like to shit on PBC, but it's a good card. I like the main event, of course. It's a welterweight unification fight, so there's that. And on the undercard, you have Razz Tayev versus Stanionis. Now that is a great welterweight fight. Both guys unbeaten, both guys punchers, both guys aggressive. Butayev brings more output to the table. He throws more punches. He's got more variety in his work. But Stanionis, I would say, is a harder one-punch knockout fighter, and he's more economical with his work. So combine those two, I think it's going to be a great fight. That's a great co-main event. Plus, you have Cody Crowley, who recently beat Quadratilo Abdu Kakarov, and he's fighting Josecito Lopez in a good fight. So the Spence versus Ugas undercard is pretty good, to be honest. It's pretty good. Yeah, exactly, McToilet. Ruiz is a one-hit wonder just like Buster Douglas. I'm starting to think you're right, Nordic. I'm starting to think you're right. He kind of found himself in the perfect storm against Joshua. I think Joshua was half cooked, to be honest. I don't think he was focused. He dropped Ruiz, got careless, got caught, and that was it. And that was it, really. I think he kind of lucked out. Not lucked out because there's no such thing as luck in boxing, but, I think he was just in the perfect scenario. He was fighting Joshua at the perfect time. Yeah, Buster Douglas, Bump of K, on his day was a very good fighter. His jab was excellent. Buster Douglas had a great ramrod jab, great extension, could really rock your head back and do damage. Had nice short punches up close, good straight right hand. Yeah, Buster Douglas was a very talented fighter, but he always, again, a bit like Andy Ruiz, he was always criticized for his dedication outside the ring, and he was also criticized for his heart as well. But yeah, Buster Douglas had talent though. He had talent. He wasn't just some random bum who scored a one-punch knockout. Look at that. Watch that Tyson fight. He was fucking Tyson up. He was beating Tyson up. Look at that fight. Minus the knockdown, Buster Douglas was busting Mike up in that fight. He was a good fighter when he had it all together. How is MMA boring? You don't like the grappling? No, I don't mind MMA. I'm just a big boxing fan. Boxing is my go-to. I like MMA. Listen, I'm a casual MMA fan, so I'll watch the really big fights, but I just don't have the time to follow it hardcore like I do boxing. I can't follow both. But I do like MMA. I think, a lot of boxing fans shit on it for no reason. But I prefer boxing. I prefer boxing. Yeah, Russell Santa Cruz would have been very good. Would have been a very good fight. Yeah, that boxing based basement guy is funny as hell. Thank you for the suggestion. Yeah, he's hilarious, bro. He's got a great channel, but I think he's going to get iced. I reckon he'll get iced because he's out there. He is out there. Hang on, guys. How is just punching more fun to watch? I like watching people get elbowed and kneed in the face. Plus, MMA is the closest thing to a real fight. I don't know. I just think I just prefer the aesthetics of boxing. To be honest, I just prefer the aesthetics of boxing. I think boxing is more fun to compete in as well. I just prefer boxing. I prefer boxing. I'll put it to you like this. One thing I'll say for MMA and the UFC, they put on more big fights. They make big fights when they need to happen. And boxing doesn't do that anywhere near enough. I agree. But one thing about boxing for me, when boxing gets it right, there's no sport like it. Not even close. when the crowd is up for it, when the atmosphere is lit. There's no sport like boxing. None at all. None at all. And I like MMA. I'm not shitting on MMA. I've got no problem with MMA, like a lot of boxing fans do. I watch MMA sometimes, as I said. I watched Khamzat last weekend, Khamzat Chimaev against what's the dude's name? Gilbert Burns. It's definitely a challenge, Nordic. Your legs are going to fucking kill, though. Your legs are going to be fucking battered. I'm telling you. It's very hard. Spence versus Ugas equals draw. Interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Ugas brings to the table. Yeah, Boxing Basement is hilarious. He's got a really funny channel. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Buster got off a canvas and whooped Tyson. Don't ever question his heart. Yeah, but before then, he was questioned for that. And I think, again, it was a bit of a perfect storm where, his mother died just before that fight. I think it was 5 weeks before, I believe, if I'm correct. And it basically spurred him. It made him train. It made him try to take his mind off it and do something for his mother. And as a result, you got the best Buster Douglas we ever saw. So if that guy had genuine dedication from the start, who knows how good he could have been? Because he was a very talented fighter, Buster Douglas. Like I hear people all the time saying, "Oh, Buster Douglas was shit." He wasn't shit. He was just super inconsistent, and he was never really switched on. But if you watch that Tyson fight, that's not a shit fighter. That is not a shit fighter. Boxing is too limited. I enjoy MMA more as well. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I'd have loved to have seen the prime Razor Ruddock versus Dillian White. I'd bet everything on Razor Ruddock absolutely demolishing Dillian with one of his smash punches. Yeah, that'd be a great fight. I think Razor was more durable than Dillian White in his prime. So yeah, I think that fight would delve into the exchanges. And I think Razor gets there first and hurts Dillian and puts him out. Yeah, I get that homeless in America. I get that. But at the same time, one thing a lot of MMA fans don't like to acknowledge is that boxing, if we take the individual combat sports, boxing absolutely is the best for self-defense and in the event of a street fight. It's not even close. Like a lot of MMA guys will say, what about wrestling? What about jiu-jitsu? It's more effective than boxing. Bullshit, it's not. In a street fight, let's say you're in a club. Let's say you're in a club, right? And you get into a beef with some dude. You're arguing, and it's going to go down. There's going to be punches thrown, and you take this dude down. You're a wrestler. You take this dude down. Cool. You've taken him down. This is in the streets. He could have a knife in his pocket. He could gouge your eyes. His boys could be in the club as well. Yeah, you've got him on the ground. They're going to stomp you out. The best form of self-defense in regards to combat sports is boxing. Absolutely, not a debate. Because what is the best form of self-defense? Fucking strike, then 100-yard dash. That's the best form of self-defense. Strike first and dip. Boxing absolutely is the best form of self-defense. Absolutely. Not close, not a debate. Wrestling and jiu-jitsu is a good form of self-defense in the ideal scenario. But in the streets, in real life, the ideal scenario doesn't always come up. So I wanted to make that clear. Because people shit on boxing as a martial art, when in reality, it's the most applicable to the real world. In my opinion. Well, it's not my opinion, it's a fact. As far as I'm concerned. No. Watch last week's fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Gilbert Burns. That was a great fight. Yeah, exactly. Listen, we all have our preferences when it comes to sport. And listen, and when it comes to combat sport, I mean, these guys are all tough. Whether it's MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, these guys are tough as fuck. Not many people could do it. So yeah, I respect the fuck out of these guys if they conduct themselves right in the sports. Yeah, Buster was a hot and cold fighter. Some fighters just don't have motivation for every fight. I agree. I agree. Imagine you put Evander Holyfield's mindset in Buster Douglas. You would have a dangerous fighter then. You would have a dangerous fucking fighter. Imagine that. I feel childish watching WWE. I used to watch it back in the day when I was young. Back in the days of Stone Cold, yeah, Buster was just lazy, exactly, yeah. In the last 3 to 5 years, in the last year, give me 3 to 5 good British undercards that you were happy with. I can't even remember. I can't even remember. Because this Dillian White Tyson Fury card is absolute shit on the undercard. It's garbage. It's a great main event, but the undercard is shit. Most of the Joshua fights have a shit undercard. Roddick would be the best heavyweight right now, in my opinion. I think he would always struggle with someone like Tyson Fury. I think he'd struggle with Alexander Usyk. But he could beat the more limited guys like Dillian White, like Deontay Wilder. You know? MMA this year has been pretty boring. I don't know, man. Last week's card was pretty good. MMA, they put on great fights the fans want to see, and the fans don't call a fighter overrated bum hype job after a loss. That's one thing I give MMA fans more credit for than boxing. I agree. I agree. Would you want to see a 15-round fight again if it was for undisputed? I like that idea, Michael. I like that idea. Yeah, people that act like boxers can't fight on the streets really piss me off. Yeah, and I think that's a culture thing, though. Now, again, people from like wrestling and jiu-jitsu backgrounds, like for the most part, they come from a higher class, right? They're more rich. They come from a richer background, etc., etc. They've never really seen street fights. They've never really been in fights on the. I'm talking about on the streets, and that shit. Listen, if you're fighting one guy in the street and there's nobody else and he has no weapons, yeah, of course, wrestling is super, super, super good. And so is jiu-jitsu, no doubt about it. But the street fights don't always work like that. They don't always work like that. Listen, if you're a self-defense coach and you're instructing people to use wrestling in a street fight, you could get your fucking client killed. You could get your client killed. Reality is, the best way is to fucking de-escalate the situation. But if it can't be done, fucking smash him first and run. That's the best way. Yeah, the truth will be, well, this weekend coming up. Next weekend, yeah. Big up to Foul Man. Yeah, of course you can. You can. Yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu absolutely is dangerous. And if you've got a guy on the ground, you can snap their neck, you can snap their arm, absolutely. But I'm talking about the context of a street fight. In the real world, there's no rules, there's no fucking referee, none of that shit. If you take a guy to the ground, you are at serious risk. Serious risk, because if he's got his boys, you're getting stomped out. If he's got a knife, you could get shanked, you know? But if you strike the guy, you drop him, you knock him out, you hurt him, whatever, you can dash. And you've got a much better chance of getting out. to me, boxing is absolutely the best form of self-defense. I've seen it time and time again. Time and time again. A boxer is a one-on-one self-defense art. If it's one versus multiple people, you're going to use MMA, maybe even Krav Maga. Now, again, I disagree, bro. MMA, what outside? So multiple people, MMA. What are you going to do? So you're going to strike and you're going to punch and kick. Again, you're on a club dance floor. You're in the club. You got some fucking tight ass chinos on. The floor is slippy. You got to take everything into account in a street fight. Everything into account. And the best way is your hands. Fend off a first attacker and then get out. And the best way to do that is stay on your feet and use your hands. In my opinion. Again, I think it's unfair, Bump of K, because there are like, if you look at MMA, there are like Olympic gold medalists in wrestling competing. So I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Those guys are high level in certain aspects. Those guys are high level. Ideal Fighter has jiu-jitsu and boxing. That's a killer right there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the best thing, is to learn both. That's the best thing. Learn both. Yeah, Muay Thai again. Muay Thai is a very good shout because again, up close you can the elbows, clinch game, etc. But that shit can help in a street fight. Absolutely. Do a face reveal, maybe at some point. Maybe at some point. Maybe at some point. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, but again, Bump of K, it's a new sport though. It's a very new sport. So of course, that whole term of greatest of all time is going to get thrown around a lot because it's a new sport. You know, it, that's normal. That's normal. MMA are doing some great things right now. Judo is great for core. I've had no experience with judo. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Butterbean. Eric Esch is his real name. Yeah. MMA has one goat, GSP. I like GSP. I like Anderson Silva. Listen, you've got to put John Jones up there. Fedor. There's a lot of guys I like MMA wise. Do you know who else I really liked in MMA was Mirko Krokop. I liked Krokop. What was it? Left kick cemetery. No, what was it? Left kick hospital, right kick cemetery, or something like that. That's great fighter. Bro, a lot of these guys use steroids though, man, just because they don't get caught. I mean, look at like GSP. You mentioned GSP. Look at the whole. He had a lot. There was a lot of people very skeptical on his drug testing. I think Nick Diaz brought it up. The whole Johnny Hendricks fiasco. There's a lot of fiascos around GSP in regards to weight, in regards to testing. Listen, GSP wasn't clean in my opinion, but none of these guys are clean at the elite level. None of these guys are clean, in my opinion. I don't really care about steroids. No, I've not seen it, Mike. I've not seen anything from Alexander Usyk in recent times. Yeah, exactly. Imagine Tommy Hearns in a nightclub on the dance floor laying people out. But the thing is, though, I will say this, McToilet. I will say this. I'm not trying to shit on any other combat sports because knowing something is better than knowing nothing. Whatever you learn, but I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of new age people out here who preach these random ass martial arts to be the best form of self defense. It's bullshit, man. Just if you have to learn something, learn to use your hands. That's what I would say. Why is that sort of shit prioritized by like the SAS, like the elite, like special forces in the world? Why is boxing prioritized? Because it's the most applicable in multiple situations. I mean, listen, Dillian White can punch. He can punch. He's tough. He's robust. So he's always got a chance. He's always got a chance, Dillian White. But I'm picking Tyson Fury. Yeah, Riddick Bowe. He was super talented. Shadow Combat, super talented. But again, yeah, had a weight issue. Yep, dedication. Yeah, James Toney got his ass whooped in 30 seconds by Randy Couture. Yeah, that is true, but again, that's a fight with a rule set. We're talking about the streets, you know? And on the flip side, UFC heavyweight champion Tim Sylvia, he got knocked out by a 50-year-old Ray Mercer in an MMA fight. Ray Mercer being a former boxer. So, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I still think boxing is the ultimate combat sport because the risk is so much higher. In terms of fatality, in terms of serious injury, boxing is the most dangerous combat sport. Although Muay Thai has to be up there. But I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, in terms of fatalities and things like that, boxing was like the most dangerous. Yeah, that is true, actually. Yeah, that is true. Boxing, yeah. Boxing is a martial art. Yeah, I've seen his street fight. Yeah, I've seen his street fight. A very young Caleb Plant, yeah. Club football or national team football? Honestly, I get more invested now in national team football. I don't really follow club football that highly now. Larry Javelinsky. Same with animals. If a wolf comes at me, fuck wrestling. Wrestling it to the ground, I'm punching it in the nose and dipping. Exactly. uh, yeah. Ryan Garcia got destroyed in a street fight. I'm not sure what you're referring to there. I never heard of that. Ryan Garcia street. Not seen anything on here about Ryan Garcia getting whooped in a street fight. What? Listen, man. No matter what he looks like, walk up to Ryan Garcia, see what happens. That guy can fight. Toby Cole, I've witnessed several street fights in the past. Only one has ever ended up on the ground. There you go. But nothing will. Nothing will really protect you against multiple people unless you have a fucking gun. In reality. But in regards to boxing, you can fend off a first attacker, fuck him up, maybe drop him, maybe hurt him, maybe knock him out, and dip. Get a head start, dip. Try and take that first guy down, see what happens if he's got his boys. See what happens. Yeah, I get you. I get you, homeless in America, but you're still kind of stationary. You're still kind of stationary. And again, the point remains like, what happens if a dude has a knife and he pulls it out and shanks you? What happens if he's got his boys around the corner and you're like doing some jiu-jitsu shit on him? You're going to get fucked up. What happens if you lay him out and then dip? You got a much better chance. You got a much better chance. Again, I'm not saying wrestling or jiu-jitsu is completely useless in the streets, because it's not. It's good to know. Of course it is. Of course it is, but it could get you in serious trouble, is my point. It could get you in serious trouble. Yeah, big up to focus on creativity. Salute. What's up, man? How you doing? Big up to focus. Yeah, Kiko Martinez in a bar would cause mayhem. Yeah, man. Big up to Super Anderson Aldo. Salute. You can box in MMA, so MMA definitely better than boxing for a street fight. Again, it's aspects of MMA. Listen, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, etc. If that, again, I go back to the street scenario. Take somebody down in the streets. Again, he could have a knife. His boys could be round the corner. Doesn't matter whether you're choking him out. You're going to get stomped out or you're going to get stabbed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, from a base level, the best martial art to learn for self-defense is boxing. Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is. This is just, in my opinion, it's pure like, it's like Joe Rogan think. It's like new age, higher education bullshit think. In the streets, boxing is the best. Absolutely, it is. If you've got nothing else, you've got no weapons, you've got nothing else, boxing absolutely is the best self-defense. Like, I was listening to a kickboxer who's actually done some MMA at a low level, Andrew Tate, and he was saying the same thing. He trains in kickboxing, and he said straight boxing is the best form of self-defense in the streets. The David Hay elbow. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing other martial arts. I would like to try jiu-jitsu, no doubt about it. I'd like to actually try Muay Thai again. Muay Thai was hard, but it was fun. Again, let's have a realistic scenario. When have you seen Floyd Mayweather not around his goons, his bodyguards, his big fucking 300-pound bodyguards? So yeah, let Conor get on Floyd's back. See what happens. He's going to get stomped out. Again, street fight. You're saying street fight. You can't say street fight, but it's only those two people. A street fight, anything can happen. And I've never seen Floyd without his goons. So yeah, Conor's going to get stomped out. Maybe not by Floyd, but he's going to get stomped out. This is the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, in regards to strikers, Anderson Silva was my favourite. In regards to strikers, that crane kick against who was it? Was it Machida? When he knocked Machida out with that crane kick, right under the chin. That shit was gnarly, man. You'll never see that. You barely see that sort of shit. Anderson Silva was one of those guys. He could, if he started any sport young, he could have done it. He was that athletically gifted. Like, if he started boxing young, he would have been good. Exactly, exactly. Super Anderson Aldo. Yeah, MMA and boxing are full of juice. All sports are juicy. Facts. I'm way behind. I think. Yeah, Kamaru Usman is, to me, he looks like he's on the juice. Absolutely. And I think Kamaru Usman is the best right now, but I think he's on the juice. I think, again, though, all of these guys are on the juice. All of these guys are on the juice. It's not just Kamaru Usman. He just looks obvious. Yeah, exactly. Conor McGregor couldn't even KO an old man in a bar. Free hit as well. Free hit. Couldn't knock him out. But Conor doesn't have power like that, though. He's got power with 6-ounce gloves, but he doesn't have power. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not trying to shit on MMA and the various disciplines in MMA, and boxing's in there as well, of course. But I think a lot of MMA fans, they do discredit boxing a little too much. It's a lot more applicable in real life than you think it is. That's all I'm trying to say. And I still think it's the most effective martial art. It's not going to get you out of every single problem, of course not. No martial art will. But I just think I just think it's more versatile. You can I'd rather be a good boxer than a good wrestler, for example, in a street fight, because again, you never know what's going to happen. You can take a dude down, and yeah, you've got that dude down. You've neutralized him, but you are still vulnerable. You are still vulnerable. If he gets a free hand, he could pull out a knife and stab you. If his boys are around the corner, they can stomp you out. Whereas if I drop the guy or knock him out, I can run, and I've got a much better chance. Yeah, Usman is a complete fighter. He's a very good fighter, Usman. I think he beats Chimaev as well. Based on what I saw from Chimaev against Gilbert Burns, I think Usman beats Chimaev. Chimaev needs another couple of fights. Needs some more experience. I think Chimaev is very good because that was a massive step up fighting Gilbert Burns. Because Gilbert Burns is a fucking G. He's a good fighter. But he needs a couple more fights. Honestly, I think Colby Covington beats Chimaev as well. Yeah, Usman is too big, though. Duck. Again, though, I'm not talking about guys crossing different genres of fighting. I'm talking about street, like defending yourself. Yeah, I forget how big this conversation is between boxing fans and MMA fans. I've kind of opened a can of worms here. But again, I'm going by personal experience. Shit I've seen, shit I've done. I'm just going by personal experience. Big up to Bruce Goes, by the way. Salute. Michael Magnesi. Check him out. Okay. Sounds Italian. I've not heard of him. I've not heard of him. Yeah, Scott Harrison was tough. Yeah, wrestling doesn't really happen in street fights, but kicking, knees, elbows, and everything do get used. Yeah. I mean, look at Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. That's the benefit of getting the strike off first. Because the strike ultimately is always the quickest route to the target. It's the hardest to see coming. And Colby's this great wrestler. Where was Colby's wrestling in the streets? He called the police. Oh, there was multiple guys around him. Well, again, that goes to show my point. Again, wrestling, jiu-jitsu is good in the ideal scenarios, which don't always occur. Yeah, no, but the thing is, though, if you're conscious enough to strike first, you're going to land first. Is my point. If you let's say you're arguing, let's say you've got some beef with a dude, right? You've got some beef with a dude, and it's gonna kick off. You know it's gonna kick off, and you've got the opportunity to strike first or shoot for a takedown first. What do? You strike first, because he could have a knife. If you strike first, at least you might hurt him. You might knock him out, and he can get out of there. If you take him down and he's got a knife, you are fucked. You're fucked. So even in that scenario, I'd still rather have boxing against a guy with a knife. You need some Steven Seagal shit. That's what you need. Yeah, Muay Thai. I've only done Muay Thai for a couple of months. There's actually some really good Muay Thai gyms around here. But it is fucking hard. It kills your body. It kills your legs. It kills your joints, your knees. Very hard sport. Hit and run. That's the best way, man. Literally, Colby, Jorge Masvidal said the same thing. That's the best tactic in the street fight. Strike first, 100-yard dash. He's an MMA fighter. It depends, Hilaire. I wouldn't want to take that chance. You might be right, but I wouldn't want to take that chance, especially in this day and age. I wouldn't want to take that chance. You are, I think you're putting far too much faith in the average person. Yeah, maybe in that scenario, maybe in that scenario, I could see that. This is the best point, honestly. We're debating what's the most effective, but honestly, having something rather than nothing is the best route. Exactly. Yeah, Floyd doesn't leave a house without 10 plus 10 20 plus stone monsters. Exactly. He's got nothing to worry about. That's the thing though, isn't it? Yeah. Vitor Belfort, yeah. Usman's father and brother are pharmacists. Not even joking. Look it up. I believe it, bro. I believe it. But yeah, all of these guys are on PEDs, man. Yeah, MMA fans shit on boxing because old heads shit on MMA. Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's like a cycle. It's a cycle of hate. But I like MMA. I watch MMA, well, to a casual extent at least. Yeah, Volkanovski's good, but I felt he lost. I forget which fight it was with Holloway. I felt he won one and lost one, but I forget which way around it was. I think I had him losing the first Holloway fight, or was it the second? I don't even know, but I had him losing one of those fights and winning the other. But yeah, Volkanovski's very good. He fucked up Korean Zombie the other week, last week. He fucked him up. Yeah, Usman used to be really boring from what from what I used to remember, and he's got a lot more. He's got a lot more entertaining in his last few fights. He's striking more. His striking's got a lot better. Usman. He's got a lovely jab, Kamaru Usman, for an MMA fighter. He's got a really good jab, carries power as well. His striking's a lot better now. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're telling me Paulo Costa's not on juice or Yoel Romero, you're in clown world. Like, those guys are juiced out of their minds. Obviously, they've got good genetics, yeah, no doubt, but those guys are on rocket fuel. Like, Paulo Costa doesn't even look human. He doesn't even look human. Yeah, Colby's a very good fighter. Colby's a very good fighter. He's just in an era now with Kamaru, so like, it is what it is. I'm not sure, man. He needs to improve a lot on from what I saw against Gilbert. He needs to improve on a lot. I know Gilbert's a good fighter. Like Gilbert hurt Kamaru Usman, so he's a good fighter. But I think Shimaev needs another fight or two before he fights Usman. Salute to Ian Ward. Big up to yourself. I'll check him out. Magnesi, I'll check him out. Yeah, in the street, a pretend tug say sorry, then knee. Yeah, knee in the balls, yeah. Yeah, Usman sounding desperate for that Canelo payday. Like, let it go. Canelo ain't gonna fight you. Yeah, yeah. But fair, I understand what he's trying to do. I mean, I'll probably do the same thing. I don't blame him for trying to get that money. Can't blame him. Yeah, he's fighting Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman. Yeah, in the summer, and it could be in the UK. Interesting. Yeah, Leon Edwards is good, but I think Kamaru is gonna just outpoint him, maybe knock him out late. Like Leon Edwards is technical. He's decent, but he doesn't like he's not one of those fighters who like necessarily jumps out at you. Like, he doesn't do anything spectacular. He does everything well. I don't think that's enough to beat Kamaru Usman. Yeah, I get you, Aldo. But my only point was like, it's kind of like the ideal scenario using wrestling in a street fight or jiu-jitsu, because you never know what the guy has on him or who he's with. I'd rather just fucking strike first and run, honestly. Masvidal smashed Colby on the streets. Yeah, it was a sucker punch, but again, that kind of goes to show what I'm talking about. It's the streets are unpredictable, extremely unpredictable, and I think wrestling a guy down, yeah, it's going to work, right? Absolutely, it's going to work. But if the guy has nothing on him, he doesn't have friends there, it's going to work then, of course. But yeah, that's true. That is true, Aldo. That is true. But I'm just going by what I've seen in real life, like when shit pops off, kind of thing. I'm just going by from my experiences, what I've seen. Granted, knives aside, I've not seen that. But, other guys inevitably always get involved and shit like that. It always pops off crazy. So maybe it's a UK thing because we've got this fucking culture out here of like, if you go out in a nightclub, guys getting beef, it's always a fist fight. And loads of people get involved. Maybe it's a culture thing, I don't know. But I just wouldn't see it working here from what I've seen. Because there's no out here, like nobody can have a fair one. Nobody can have a fair one. If you get in a beef with a dude and you fuck the dude up and you stay there too long, you best believe his friends are going to come. Nobody can have a fair one anymore. Like in the ideal world, let's say men were men, right, and conducted themselves like they should, then yeah, wrestling would be fucking great, or jiu-jitsu would be amazing. It'd be like the cheat code, but I wouldn't risk it. I'd like to know it. Don't get me wrong, I'd like to learn it. I'd like to be able to do it. But I wouldn't make it my primary go-to necessarily. But again, like the main thing is like learn something, whether it's wrestling, boxing, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, learn something. And if you've got kids, make them learn something because they'll be better off for it. It's better knowing something than nothing. That's a good shout. What about just concentrating on the running and sprinting and cross country with some parkour? That way you don't even need to strike. That's probably the best shout. That is probably the best shout, Foul Man. Yeah, kicking is very effective, especially kickboxing. Yeah, kicking in general against the knife. Yeah. Exactly, Mr. Doc. A basic understanding of footwork mechanics and the ability to throw a straight strike goes surprisingly far against random civilians. Exactly. Look at all of these street fights on World Star Hip Hop. Look at them all. Take that. It's always wild swinging punches, like arms open and fucking trying to wrestle each other. A good straight is going to knock most of those guys clean out. A good straight, composure, decent bit of footwork and distance, you're going to knock most of those guys clean out. The only scary thing about boxing, though, one thing I'll say in regards to wrestling, which is good, or jiu-jitsu, like you're always in control. You're not going to kill somebody. Unless you really want to, you're not going to kill somebody by wrestling them. You have to have a conscious choice to kill them. Let's say you take a dude down and you're doing what you want with him, you have to then make the choice whether you want to kill him or not. Whereas boxing, you could get in a beef, you could get in a fight, you could fucking drill somebody, knock them out, their head smashes against the pavement, and you can kill them without even knowing it, or without even meaning it. That's the downside with boxing. It can get you in a lot of trouble. That has to be said as well. But again, it's MMA is a fight under a specific rule set, under a specific time period, with safety measures incorporated. It's not really a fight. There's no such thing. Yeah, Anderson was saying the same. Yeah, kicks are very effective. Yeah, same Nordic, same. I've had that experience as well. This was way back in the day, though. This wasn't even on like when I was an adult. This was like back in school. And some year 11 dude, I was like year 9, year 10, or whatever it was, some big ass dude as well, tried to kick me. I somehow caught his leg randomly, like instinctively, kind of caught his leg under my right arm, and I swept his other leg with his left. They kicked me with his left. I caught it with my right, and I swept his other leg with my right foot. That's fucking amazing. Randomly, like just pure instinct. First fight was clear Volkanovski. Maybe it was the second fight, Ben. I definitely scored Holloway one of those fights. I'm sure I did. But again, I'm a casual when it comes to MMA, so what the fuck do I know? There are no pro athletes who aren't on something. It's the only way to compete. Yeah. There might be one or two, like the ultra religious types, maybe, or there might be one or two, but the vast majority are on something. They have to be. Yeah, imagine getting licensed with one eye and think that the drug tests are all that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Usman is fucking jacked. He's jacked. Israel Adesanya is another guy I'm suspicious of. He's got like bad gyno, really bad gyno. He looks like he's juiced. Yeah, I used to kick. It's funny you say that, Duck. Instinctively, I used to kick a lot in street fights when I was younger. Like kick the legs, just kick the lower legs. Like, yeah, low kicks. One kick I'd love to learn is that oblique kick. You know what John Jones uses? Where people always kind of debate whether it's legal or not. Where they kind of that oblique kick is sick. I'd love to master that. Yeah, I think you're right, Del Boy. Kamzat could really use another fight to learn the techniques. He's a lot like Justin Gaethje. Yeah, I think Kamzat he's an unbelievable talent. Like from going, I mean, he was fighting Wan Lee, whatever his name is, to fighting Gilbert Burns. Like that's a huge jump in quality, and I felt he just about beat Gilbert Burns as well. But that is a huge jump in class. I think he needs another fight along those lines. I mean, I'd love to see him fight Colby Covington. I think that'd be an amazing fight. That'd be amazing. Because Colby ain't no bum. Yeah, Kamzat showed a lot of holes versus Gilbert. Was completely gassed at the end of round 2. Colby mauls him in a 5-rounder. Yeah, even Bruce Lee said that low kicks were by far the most practically useful form of kicks. Yeah, I'd love to see Kamzat versus Colby. Yeah. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Sylvia. Kamzat he's going to be competitive with anybody, in my opinion. But I just wouldn't put him in with Usman next. I think that's a big jump. Yeah, I mean Ugas is dangerous, Anthony. He's dangerous. He's on the best form of his career. He's as good as he's ever going to be. Very experienced. So I wouldn't rule him out. Yeah, I try my best, man. Sometimes it's hard, but I try my best, man. I try my best. You guys know how it is. By the way, I can't get enough of this based boxing basements channel. This guy's channel is so fucking good, man. This guy's channel is so good. He's turning into one of my favorite boxing channels. Fuck it. One second. Okie dokie. Bear with me 1 sec. Yeah, if Usman was smart, he would fight Khamzat ASAP. I agree. Yeah, there's that as well. I think maybe they're looking too much into the, Spence's inactivity, the injury, the car crash. I mean, the fact that people are looking into that tells you that if Spence is at his best, then he should beat Ugas quite comfortably. The fact that people are drawing to that and utilizing that as their the basis of their prediction, that has to tell you something. I agree. But again, the circumstances could play a factor. That's why the fight is interesting. That is why the fight is interesting. Yeah, that is true. Everybody has a fight or flight response, but not everybody uses the flight response all the time. They always think it's better to fight another day. Yeah, and listen, in certain scenarios, that is absolutely the best choice. I mean, it's foolish to get involved in something that you can't win in a situation where you can't win. It's foolish. Forget your ego, forget your pride, get out of there. That's the ideal situation. Jamiroquai headbutt and run. I can't see it. I think Dillian will be he'll be feisty early on, Dillian White, but I think he'll get. I've got a feeling he's going to get stopped late. I think he might gas. I think you're going to see a lot of holding, a lot of mauling in that fight. I think it's going to be quite messy, and I think Tyson will get him out of there late on. But Dillian. Listen, Dillian's always got a chance with his left hook. He carries decent power. He's a tough dude. He's always got a puncher's chance, but I can't really see him unless he lands that Hail Mary shot. I can't really see him winning this fight. I can't see him winning this fight. Yeah, Mr. Bean would be a straight up killer on the streets of 1960s Hong Kong. No, I thought So I thought Roman Gonzalez beat Rungvisai in that first fight, and I felt Kovalev beat Ward. So yeah, I felt both of those decisions were drastically wrong. Oh my god, I'm so far fucking behind, man. Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with the Scousers, man. They are, listen, Scousers. They're one of a few groups of people in this country who still have that kind of they still have that kind of real pride in themselves. People give Scousers a bad name, but listen, they love their area, they love their culture. So, I mean, fair play to the guys, man. Fair play to them. Big up to Ryan O'Rourke, by the way. Big baby ban up soon. Be a number of people wanting to fight him just because his ban made him a name. Yeah. So he's got bitch tits basically. So, you know, gynos is a side effect of certain things. Put it that way. Yeah, CGNG are the scariest villains. No Bruce Lee shit's ever going to stop them fellas. Exactly. And listen, if they have a gun, you're fucked anyway. You're fucked anyway. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tough guys and all over the place. That's another thing I think a lot of people do. They make the mistake of assuming if a guy's from a certain part of town or from a certain area, then he's soft or he's hard. You probably shouldn't go through life. You shouldn't look at life that way because you might be in for a rude awakening. You know, I've learned that lesson. Trust me, I've learned that lesson. Big up to John Gonzalez, by the way. Big up to John Gonzalez. Tony Bellew is a hard scouser. I've got. I mean, who else can tear it? Well, I guess Errol Spence could fight Keith Thurman, but I've got a funny feeling it might happen soon. Spence versus Crawford. I've just got a funny feeling that it could happen. Yeah, Corey Spinks was a good fighter. Yeah, he was a good fighter. Very, very tricky, very awkward. Didn't have a great style to watch, but very effective. Yeah, based boxing's hilarious, man. Based Boxing Basement. Yeah, he's got a great channel if you check him out. He's got a great channel. But anyway, guys, I've got to wrap this one up. I need to cook some dinner and yeah, do a few bits and bobs. But yeah, enjoy the boxing this weekend. Some good fights to look forward to. Mainly Errol Spence and your Dennis Ugas, plus the undercard. So yeah, we got some good shit this weekend. Enjoy it. Stay safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And peace.